Hi there, it's Ramona. I'm cooking again. So today I'm making. It's been this, oh, got a fussy monkey down there. Warm day if you're out in the sun in LA, and if you're not, it's been a little bit cooler. There's a bit of a breeze out there right now, so I'm actually making some chili right now. Please watch and enjoy while I throw together. This is a vegan chili. You can add meat. The first thing I'm doing is turning on the eye with, so there's some olive oil in the pan already, and I'm going to take some, it's almost 2.5 tablespoons of cumin seed. So this is just cumin seed that I'm going to throw into the pot, and it's going to start getting fragrant. So I'm starting to smell the cumin releasing its flavor. I'm going to actually go ahead and do something a little bit different than what the recipe calls for. I want to put in my seitan right now, which is a vegan meat substitute. It kind of looks a little bit like ground beef. I do believe it's made out of it's a flour-based product, so it's actually not soy, which a lot of people may or may not want to use. I'm trying to cut back on my soy intake, so this is why I'm going with the seitan. This is a ground seitan. It does come in strips and other different styles, but for a chili, obviously the ground would be perfect. So I want to go ahead and put that in there and let that flavor kind of play with the seitan. And you can hear that popping up and getting all nice and tasty. The next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is put in my chili powder and turn that heat down to a low heat so that it's on a lower heat. And I'm going to go ahead and one tablespoon plus a little bit. So I'm actually going to cut back on it, so I'm not going to use the whole portion here. So you can start smelling everything playing together. And the next thing I'm going to go ahead and add here, I've got my onion that I've chopped up, and I've got the garlic, and I've got jalapeno. So you can add as little or as much jalapeno as you want. I'm just going with a little bit, so you can see that going into it. But I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And I'm kind of noticing it's a little bit on the dry side, so you can put some more olive oil in there. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is add in water. So, but I'm actually, for a surprise on this dish, is I'm using vegetable stock. So I'm going to go ahead and dump some of the vegetable stock in there. And I've really found that using vegetable stock as opposed to water really helps the flavor of your dish. As a meat, it's meat-based, you can go ahead and put in there, chicken stock or a beef stock if you have that. And I highly recommend making it from scratch on your own, because it'll just be a wonderful thing. The next thing I'm going to put in there is the tomatoes. Now the recipe that I usually use calls for, I think, like 28 ounces of canned tomatoes. But for the sake of this recipe, I happen to have 2 ripe tomatoes. So I'm going to put 2 ripe tomatoes in. And I'm adding in some diced tomatoes, diced canned tomatoes that have no salt in them. So we're going to go ahead and add that, because I want that to start playing with the flavors in there and start breaking up. When you're cooking, one thing about cooking is you can use the recipe as a guideline of what you may or may not want to do. So use it as a guideline, but then play with it. Like I'm going in here and using canned tomatoes and ripe tomatoes. So you can make it, you can make the dish your own. So I'm going to go ahead and let that cook down a little bit on a higher heat to let that the garlic and the onions start to cook down, and the jalapeno to start to work in there, work its flavor in. So you can see the next couple of items that I'm going to put in are some red bell pepper and zucchini. Now with this dish you can put in green pepper or yellow pepper or orange pepper, whichever pepper you like the flavor of. That's what you add. You can if you don't like red pepper, you can put in the orange pepper. You don't like orange pepper, put in the green and the yellow pepper. And I'm going to chop up the eggplant. I like to chop up the eggplant last because it does start to get you know, it does start to get affected by the air. It's going to go in there and it's going to cook and simmer and start to play with everything in there. But I just like to minimize that air exposure that happens there. So while that continues to cook and start to smell really nice in here, nice big plate of eggplant there that is ready to go in. And I've had the mixture of seitan, cumin seeds that were toasted in there with some olive oil, onions, garlic, and jalapeno. They've been stewing with 2 whole, very ripe tomatoes. So that's been stewing in there and kind of just meshing and melding, trying to get the flavor of the chili into the seitan. So, and also, there is some chili powder in there too. You know, with chili, the longer it cooks, the better it's going to taste. But I'm going to go ahead and dump everything else in there, and the canned tomatoes to like start letting everything mature and cook, and also the beans. With my beans, I've gotten really creative. I know usually with the chili it calls for kidney beans. However, in this one, I'm putting white kidney beans and black beans. So you can do whatever you really want with the beans. You can put, the choice is absolutely up to you. Be creative, whatever bean you like, that's the bean that goes in your chili. A recipe that I've just noticed was cooking, it was a stew type thing, but it very much tasted like a chili because of the cumin and the what was in there. So you could even put lentils in your chili if you don't want beans in your chili. Get creative, make the chili your own. So I'm going to go ahead and dump those in there and let those start getting the goodness. And then I'm going to put the tomato in there. And that's all of the eggplant, which is when you're cooking and you've got a can of tomatoes and there's still a little bit of tomato in the can. What you can do is always you can dump in your liquid, your water, or in this case my vegetable stock that I'm using. So I'm just going to go over here and pour the vegetable stock over the pot, and then so I'm getting the rest of that goodness from the can. So now it's empty. There's still a little bit in there I could get and let that cook. So judging from what's going on, I'm actually going to need to put more vegetable broth in there, which I'll do, and then I'm actually going to let the eggplant cook down, because the eggplant will cook down. It's kind of piled up really high in there. And my vegetables that I might want to be a little bit crunchy. The other ingredient that I don't have out yet is kale. I'm putting kale in this chili. It's vegan. I'm going to go ahead and put some kale in there. Now the kale you may want to throw in at the very, very end so that it's still a little bit vibrant and green, or you can go ahead and cook it, right now and put it in there and let it cook. And red peppers to be crunchy and the zucchini to be crunchy and the kale to be crunchy. Put in the zucchini and the red pepper towards the end, and then the kale at the very last when you're just kind of getting it warm and letting it warm up so that it kind of, it has that vibrant, pretty kale green. And I hope you are thinking about making this recipe and wondering what it will taste like, because it is very good. Eggplant is now pretty much submerged into the chili. I'm still going to let it cook down a little bit more with the lid off to kind of cook off some of that excess liquid there. If you have tomato paste, you can add maybe a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of it to thicken it up. Just depends on how thick you want it. With the chili, you do want it on the thicker side. So I'm still waiting to put the red pepper and the zucchini in there, because I do again want those to be on the crunchier side as opposed to thoroughly cooked. And then I'll add the kale in there. The chili has been cooking for a while. As you can see, I have put in the red peppers and the zucchini. And I have taken my kale and I've gone in and deveined it, which basically means you've got leafy stuff to the left and the right of this vein, and you don't want to put that in your or whatnot. You don't want to actually eat that because that's bitter. So I've deveined it, and I've got a small pile over there. And now I'm ready to put this nice plate into the chili. and let it cook a little bit for a little bit, just to let it get a nice vibrant green also. So that's going to take a little bit of time to cook down and get mixed in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on that and let that cook down for a little bit, maybe like 5 or 10 minutes. I've let it sit for a little bit longer, and I now have a little portion that I've served up for myself. And there's the zucchini, so it's still nice and green on the outside. There's a bit of kale, and that still has a nice bright greenness to it, and the red pepper is still nice and red. So I'm going to go ahead and try this chili. Of course, the longer it cooks, the less vibrant and bright the zucchini, kale, and red pepper will be. But please enjoy. You can also top this with fresh cilantro if you have some. If you'd like to do that, you can put garnish it with a cheese, with sour cream, or a little bit of cheddar cheese, or scallions if you like scallions with it. So do enjoy the recipe. And also, one other thing, I did put a tablespoon of, you can either put honey or agave in there, just to kind of give it a little bit of a sweetness. So you're battling that heat with the sweetness, and making a nice contrast. So that is also in there, and you can see the eggplant is cooked down very nicely. So it's just really, it'll melt in your mouth. Again, I hope you enjoy, and please leave comments on my blog, Cook for Your Health. It's Cook, COOK, the number 4, UR, and then health. It's a blog, so go check that out. There are tons of more recipes there. Most of the recipes there, if not all of the recipes, are vegetarian or vegan. And of course, you can put meat in there, and you can also put meat in this chili if you so choose to. I prefer, if I'm going to put meat in it, I prefer to put a stewed meat. It's like a cube. It'll be nice and chunky, as opposed to the ground meat. That's just my personal preference. But however you enjoy your chili, please enjoy as it gets cooler here this year, and enjoy the soups and the chilies.